Welcome to Aurora Connects Season 2. This is episode 8 for Friday, October 2nd, 2020. Actor Michael J. Asberry. I'm Dawn Monique Williams, Associate Artistic Director of Aurora Theater. And as always, I'm joined by Artistic Director Josh Costello. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Dawn. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there.
Well, that's all we can do as we inch closer to elections and our premiere of our audiobook, The Flats, which is coming up in just a couple weeks. Super excited about that. I want to let our viewers know that they can comment in the YouTube, Facebook comments as they watch us live this afternoon. And if you ever want to drop us a line via email, we're connects@auroratheater.org. We'd love to hear from you about your suggestions for guests, quotes, information, topics you'd love us to cover on the show as we start considering our season 3 of Aurora Connects and how we want to move forward in the future. Josh, tell folks how they can have access to the Flats.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Flats, Dawn. Thank you. It's the way that you get access to our audio drama. This is a world premiere audio drama that we commissioned from Lauren Gunderson, Jonathan Spector, and Cleavon Smith. And we just recorded it over the last couple of weeks with our wonderful cast of actors, Lauren English, Anthony Fusco, and Kari Moy, as well as Rebecca Schweitzer has joined us as well. It's a fantastic cast. The recording sounds great. We've been starting on the editing process with Elton Bradman, and we're going to be dropping the first episode on October 23rd. So the way you get access, there's 2 ways. One, the much better way, is by becoming an Aurora Theater Company member. And the way you do that is you go to auroratheater.org and you click on memberships, and you can sign up to be a monthly member or a member for the entire 2020-2021 season. That'll get you access to the audio drama, to all kinds of other stuff. We're doing salons. Dawn's doing an August Wilson reading group, partner theaters, all kinds of other stuff. So please check that out and become a member today. If for some reason you decide not to become a member, you can also buy single tickets to the Flats on our website as well. And that, again, drops on October 23rd. Also on our website, there is a link that says donations. And if you click on that link, you can give money to Aurora Theater Company to help us get through. This is obviously a really hard time for us. And we are very grateful for all the support that we've already received, and would be very grateful if you could help us out with a donation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Josh, this week, like every week, I picked a quote for us to share.
Excellent.
This one is from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom as we gear up for our next session of A Year with August, coming up Monday, October 12th. But as a special surprise for you, Josh, I'm not reading the quote. Michael is reading the quote.
All right. Hi, Michael.
Greetings, everybody. How you doing? Hey, Josh.
So, Michael, you want to bring us in with the quote from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom?
I believe I can do that. Let's see here. I got, I done been through life, made my marks, followed some signs on the road, ignored some others. I done been all through it. I touched and been touched by it, but I ain't never been the same fool twice. That's what I can say.
Thank you, Michael.
Pleasure.
So viewers, that's our introduction of Michael. Bay Area actor Michael J. Asberry joins us today on the show.
Excited to be here. Thank you all for having me. This is really special. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
And Michael was last on stage at Aurora in Exit Strategy just over a year ago. We just closed a year ago, Michael.
That's insane.
I know. I know.
It's hard to believe that much time has passed, and it went by so fast.
Mm-hmm. There he is on stage with Margot Hall. And with the whole cast. Oh, you were so good in that show, and I that was such a special show. That was my first show as artistic director.
Unforgettable experience. Love the show, love the cast, love the whole experience.
And you just did such a great job with that character, who is, like, you know, in some ways the antagonist, but actually has a point, has a very good point. And
yes,
it's such a tough situation that he's in. And I thought you just played it so beautifully and so sympathetically, and really just a marvelous performance. And then you were in another show at Aurora before that, or more than one?
Satellites. No, Satellites was the
Satellites was the other one, yeah.
Back in 2008, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was before my time at Aurora, so I didn't get to see that one. Oh, there you are in Satellites. All
Michael
right.
Jean and Juliota, yeah. That was a fantastic show. Great story, great cast, and again, another great experience. That's why I love the theater, because I had such a good time there, and I love the work that's done at the Aurora. So I love it.
And then you were a big part of our annual gala Supernova this summer. You and Michael Ray Wisely did a wonderful video about the backstage tradition. Tell us a little bit about the backstage tradition, just for those who missed that video.
Oh, where everybody kind of signs and names something back there. And I think by the time I came around to do, when I was doing exit strategy, there wasn't really any space back there. So I found a sliver of space, and I think I called it the Michael J. Asberry sliver of space back there. Because we claimed like fire extinguishers and door hangs and picture frames, whatever's back there, if somebody claims it and puts their name on it. That's the tradition.
Amanda's got a little taste of the video to share right now.
Oh boy. So as you can see, there's artwork, there's autographs, there's all kinds of little phrases here that are on the wall that actors have left here to kind of immortalize their performances, which is great. Personally, I'm a more modest, humble kind of guy, so writing my name on the wall is not something that I would really do, because I'm just not that. Wow, how'd that get there? We're gonna swing it back to Michael for a second. How about that?
It's so good. I love that tradition. I love that. I mean, I love that Aurora feels like a home to people, and that everybody who is in a show at Aurora sort of stakes a claim back there. It's really special.
Well, between the atmosphere of everybody that works there and the intimacy of the space itself, I think it lends itself to that kind of energy. So, yeah.
Michael, how did you came to? If I remember correctly, you came to acting relatively late in life, right? You weren't an actor when you were a kid, yeah? You came to acting as an adult. Yeah, tell us about your journey into becoming an actor.
Well, it was a complete and total accident. I never had any aspirations to act. I was a painfully shy kid, and some of my childhood friends that see me now, they still like laugh out loud when they know that this is what I'm doing, because it's the funniest thing in the world. But what I wanted to do is, I had hoop dreams. First of all, I was going to be an NBA ball player, and I tore my Achilles in college playing basketball, so that kind of took that in a different direction. And another aspiration of mine was to be a vocational counselor. My dad was a personnel management specialist for the Department of the Navy, and finding jobs for college graduates was something that I really wanted to do. That was something I was really interested in. And then thirdly, I wanted to get to be a radio personality. When I first went off to college, there was a guy on the radio on KBLX, a little local station, when they just played jazz, and his name was Clifford Brown Jr. And I thought he was the coolest dude that had ever sat in front of a mic. And I'm like, I want to do that. And my voice changed when I was really young. So I was like 11 when my voice started to sound pretty much like it does now. And everybody for decades were saying, that's an interesting voice. You got a great voice. You should do something with that voice. Never paid attention to it. And when I finally was like probably pushing 30, maybe even over 30, I said, I've been hearing this long enough. Let me try to do something. And I did an internship at a radio station. They put me on the air for a while, and then the station went belly up within a year that I got there. Not my fault, I hope. And so that was it. But then I was raised in a family. And then once my family was of a certain age, I was able to get back out and try something again. Met a guy who was doing commercials, and I was talking to him, and he said, you should check out these people. And he gave me the number of a casting agent, who started sending me out for on-camera auditions, which I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to an on-camera audition because I'm not an actor. I was like, I don't act. That's not what I do. But because I was asked to go, I went anyway. And I went kicking and screaming, and fortunately booked a job or two. And I was like, it's not so bad, it's fine, it's okay. And then I did this one job that was a live action character in a video game. And it was the first time that I was actually a character. And I was scared to death. And I had, you know, to deliver my very first line, I'm like, what if I mess up? What if I screw it? What if I can't remember it? They said, well, we'll just do it again. You know, it's okay. And so so I'm standing there and I got my wardrobe on. They said, okay, makeup. They put makeup on. I hated that because I'm like, you know, I'm not wearing makeup. They put makeup on. And they said, okay, action. I delivered the line. And it was like somebody had injected me with something. I was like, because I got it right. And they said, okay, that's the print. Moving on to the next scene. And that's what started it. And from there, I started to get a little more work piece by piece. And then I wanted to be good because I'm like, everybody who I knew that was good had a theater background. And I didn't have any stage experience. And so I said, well, I'm gonna do it. And that's when I started to search for stage auditions and got my first play with this organization called the East Bay Actors Collective, which is no longer in existence. Did my first 12th night, Shakespeare's 12th night. And it was my very first play. And from then I just kept at it until it started to take off. I didn't really embrace it until probably 6 years after that. And so, yeah, it was probably like the early 2000s when I was like, yeah, I'm actually an actor. Before then, I was just kind of going through the motions.
What was that feeling? Tell me more about that feeling that you said that you were injected with when you had your first line on set. What is that?
It was the first time. I think that's actually easy for me to describe because I was so consumed with basketball as a kid that I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I didn't realize until that moment that I was trying to find something in my life to replace that after I had gotten injured and couldn't play at a certain level. And I was thinking, I didn't realize I was looking for it until I felt that. And I'm like, this could be it. That could be that thing that I'm trying to find to replace what I had as an athlete. And I felt that in that moment. But again, I didn't make that realization until later on as I started to perform for a few years after that too. So.
And is it the attention on you that everybody's like looking at you? Is it the sense of being in the moment? Like what is the thing that makes it fulfill that role for you?
I think it was the sense of being in the moment because I didn't even notice anybody else. Mm-hmm. When I felt that sensation, it wasn't about whoever else was in the room. And you know, there are people there. You know, they're shooting it. There's lighting. There's the fellow performers. I didn't feel any of that. I was just so locked into what I was doing. I was like, I felt the transformation, and it's therapeutic. It's the greatest thing that I found in my adult life. It's hard to describe because it was so overwhelming at the moment, and it's just built from there. And there's nothing else that I intend to do with my life now. That was it.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like there's something about being in the zone, right? That you talk about, like you're all of your attention is focused on this one thing, and you're in the moment and you're doing it. And whether that's basketball or acting, I mean, I feel that now in rehearsal when I'm directing and I get to like solve a problem and work with an actor and go back and forth and like figure out a line. Like that's that sense of engagement is so powerful and so important.
Yeah, nothing like it. I didn't realize I was looking for it and until I found it. And then it's like, okay, here we are. This is the thing.
Yeah, I love that it's the greatest thing you found in your adult life. Like that's such a nice perspective because I've been doing theater since I was a kid, you know. So so the idea that somebody can come to it after having raised a family and having three different careers and career paths. So that's so great. I know, Michael, that a lot of your kind of early work when you were just starting out was like at the Lorraine Hansberry under Stanley's direction. Right. And I also happen to know that there are two playwrights especially whose work you've really gotten to tackle a few times, and that's Lynn Nottage and August Wilson. And I would love to just hear from you about what it is about those writers' words or works that resonate so deeply with you.
I'm glad you asked that. Getting into acting at first was a lot of film, TV, voiceover stuff when I first started. Then I started to explore theater. And the plays that I had done, I'd done some fantastic shows. I did some Shakespeare's. I did I'm Not Rappaport early on. Some really fantastic plays. But it wasn't until I met August Wilson that I felt like somebody wrote something for me. It was like, and Seven Guitars was my first experience with that. And Seven Guitars was like my grandfather's era. And there's a character who I played, Red Carter, who talks about the 61 highway that runs from Mississippi into Chicago. And that's my family's journey. My grandfather was born in rural Mississippi, took the 61 highway to Chicago. My family on my dad's side settled there and moved eventually to Gary, Indiana, which is where my dad was born, was raised. And it felt personal and it felt real. And stories that he tells are stories that I have heard and I felt in my spirit and in my soul. And so I could connect to that. And characters that he has written are characters that I could play until I decide to stop doing this. I mean, from the young men up until the older characters like Headley and further on. So that's why I love August Wilson. Lynn Nottage. There is a brilliance to the way that she can compose a story that it's unmatched to me. And I think Crumbs from the Table of Joy was the first play that I did by her, which was fantastic. It's written from the perspective of this young girl. Fantastic play. And I did Sweat just a couple of years ago in Sacramento at Capitol Stage about the plight of people that are losing their jobs because the company is moving out of the country and how that affects this industrial area of rural Pennsylvania. And there's a truth and honesty and just a gift that she has for being able to capture these stories so clearly and to tell them on stage. And it's just, the words lift off the page. It's fantastic. I love Lynn Nottage. I love August Wilson. I love a ton of playwrights, but those two speak directly to me.
And I know not all of those experiences with those writers were at the Lorraine Hansberry, but some of them were. And I wonder if you could also speak to the experience of doing those plays in a theater institution that was created by and for Black audiences, artists. Yeah.
Different experience because it's, everything is familiar. And everybody feels welcome. There's no sense of, I know that there's been issues probably the whole time since theater has been created, but most recently light has been shed on the fact that not every theater space is inviting. Not every theater space is comfortable with people that are expressive, that react, that respond. And at the Lorraine Hansberry, that was encouraged. It was encouraged. It was just part of the culture. And to perform there in a familiar space under the direction of someone who understands us, speaking of Black people in particular, in that instance, it was just a wonderful time and a wonderful era and a wonderful experience, and one that I miss because I certainly grew and developed as a result of that. And I hope that every theater can encourage that kind of a environment so that everybody can feel comfortable and feel welcome and able to express in whatever way they feel comfortable.
That's so beautiful. Amanda shared one of the pictures from Fences of you as Jim Bono, but there's another that's with you and Derek Lee Whedon, my buddy Derek, and that's from 2017 at PCPA in Santa Maria, directed by Tim Bond, who is sort of newly appointed the artistic director here at TheaterWorks.
Yeah, love work. I love Tim. Love, yep.
That's great. Josh, I feel like you had an impulse, but you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yes, when my 13-year-old made his guest appearance on the show, I muted myself. This is what happens when I record from home. Yeah, I loved what you said about the community and the sense of people feeling welcome at the Lorraine Hansberry, and that's a big part of an ongoing conversation that we've been having at Aurora, because we had heard that certain people, people of color, were being made to feel unwelcome in our space by being shushed by other audience members when they were having a vocal reaction to something that happened on stage. And we had a big conversation. We had a town hall conversation about that. And I just want to encourage our viewers, there's information about that on our website. But we really are talking a lot about how we can make sure that everybody feels welcome at Aurora. And that
I remember you mentioning that in pre-show speeches before our shows with the exit strategy. So love it. But
it's a big, I mean, it's a ongoing, I mean, having done these plays, like August Wilson, for example, at theaters with predominantly Black audiences, and then also at theaters with predominantly white audiences, what are the other sort of differences between those two experiences?
Oh boy. I guess it's kind of a timing issue also as a performer, because there are responses that you know that you're going to get from one audience, and at another in a different venue, you might hear crickets. So it's an adjustment that you have to make. But as a performer, the job is to tell the story. And so if you tell the story, you're going to get the response that you're going to get, and you're going to move people. Some people are vocal, some are silent, and so you just have to tell the story and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, Michael, you talked early on about the uniqueness of your voice from an early age, and the desire to be in radio, and sort of kind of finding your way to acting through your voice. And I don't know if all of our viewers know that, but the Bay Area is sort of a rich place for voice talent. And I wonder, first I'm going to really embarrass you and tell Amanda to pull up the picture of you as Frozone from Mr. Incredible and Pal. So I wonder if you would share with our viewers a little bit about what it means to be a voice actor in the broadest sense, like the wide range from cartoons to commercials to video game, all the things. And what it means to do that in this community, because I think a lot of people maybe don't know that that's going on here too.
Yeah, well, it's a really interesting phenomenon, because I have had some incredible opportunities, but sometimes there's a lot of space in between them, and so but it's here. The work is here, and it's just a matter of being persistent and staying with it. But I've been fortunate. I've been fortunate to get some commercial work in voice, and the interesting thing to me about the Mr. Incredible spot that I did is that I got that through a failed theater audition. I had auditioned for a play at the Magic, and did not get the part. And I was like really kind of disappointed, and I'm like, golly. And the casting director called me to tell me that I did not get the part. And so I was like, oh man, okay, well, thank you for the opportunity. And then she said, well, hold on a minute. She says, would you be interested in auditioning for an animated film? I was like, would I be interested? Yes, I would. And so she set up the audition, had me come in and read for it, and I booked the part. And that was a lesson, because that was still early in my acting career as well. And that was a lesson in, no matter what the circumstance, show your best self. Do the best that you can, regardless of the outcome, show your best self. And I assumed that I did in that instance, because they got me that audition, and I ended up getting that part as a result of it. And it's an unforgettable experience, working at Pixar and meeting everybody. They had to throw me out of the studio because I didn't want to leave. I was having so much fun. We're like, okay, there's other people that have to record. Mike, could you so it was fantastic. But there's work here to be done in voice and industrial video and commercial work. It's here. It's just a matter, but I think persistence is the key. And don't get discouraged, and keep swinging, and stay active and stay sharp.
How is it different, from building a play to like just doing a voiceover spot, or even like being in a film? Like for you on set, Do you go to set for voice? How are you employed differently? What skills do you have to bring to each job?
You got to come in hot. I mean, for voiceover work, what I've experienced that you have to come in ready, because there's not a whole lot of time for rehearsal, because everything moves fast. It's like, we need to get this up and running. We got to get this going. We got to get this on. I had a gig once. They called me, I think on a Tuesday, recorded it on a Thursday. So there's not a whole lot of time for preparation. So if I can get the script in advance, I'm all over it. And you got to go in there and you got to be ready. And of course, they'll edit it down, do as many takes as is necessary to perfect it. But you just have to come in ready. And as opposed to a stage production, I try to get the script as the day that I hear that I'm cast, I want the script. Actually, I want it before that. And I want to start working on that character, because when my goal is always by the first day of rehearsal to be off book. I haven't performed the whole character, because it's going to sound different coming from the other actors in the show. But that's my goal, because I want to, if I know what I'm saying, then in response to whatever else anybody else is saying to me, I can respond and it's more natural. It's like I'm out of character now. I'm the other person. I'm the character as opposed to myself. And you don't have that kind of time to prepare normally for voice. In my experience, I haven't. And if that gig is out there, I'm ready for it. But normally I haven't had that much time to prepare for a voice gig.
Let's talk about exit strategy a little bit, because I'm sure some of our viewers remember you from that, and some of them probably don't. Can you give us a quick rundown of that, the character that you played in Exit Strategy and what that situation was?
Oh God, Arnold Reese. He was a teacher who had been involved in protests to try to save the school. The school was going to be demolished, and he's kind of had it. He's been beaten down. The administration, everything is coming down on him, and he's kind of resigned to the fact that it's going to happen. And there's a group of young students, younger teachers that are like, we still have to fight for this. The battle's not over yet. But Arnold is like, well, okay, you can try that, but good luck. And then he kind of gets reinvigorated let's try, okay, let's do that. Loses, am I giving that away? In case somebody hasn't seen it, that doesn't say. Loses his best friend, a fellow teacher, and that's another layer of pain and depression and frustration and disappointment on top of that. So he's trying to battle all these different elements, maintain some optimism, but at the same time, he's kind of crushed at the same. It's such a complicated character and circumstance to navigate, but that's what I loved about it, because it was so deep and it was delicious to dig into all of that and to try to work that out. I remember there's the emotional scene that Margot and I had in that show. And I would tell myself every day, I'm going to get through this show without crying. And I couldn't, because it's so heavy. Everything comes down and she comes back in spirit form and he gets to say some things that he didn't want to say. It was a load. And I loved it though. I loved that kind of stuff.
You did great. Yeah, that scene was so lovely. Margot was just fantastic, and you guys really nailed it. I loved how, we kept learning more sides to this character as the play. We sort of think he's one thing, and then we realize so much more is going on. Yeah. And I would go through that every night. It was it was something different every night. Some nights I'd be angry at the younger kid, and then some nights I'd be sympathetic, trying to help him at the same time. And it was, oh man, that was a ride. I love too, one of the things that people talked about with that show and that I really appreciated about working with the whole cast was how these teachers, primarily takes place in the break room at this public high school, and the teachers all have been working together for such a long time and know each other really well, and in one way sort of love each other, but in another way are super annoyed with each other all the time and are all constantly bickering, but it's that intimacy within the bickering that's there, like a family. Yeah. And I loved how well you all were able to embody that and to feel like, some of you knew each other already, some of you didn't. Gabriella was, came up from LA and none of us knew her beforehand, but it felt like you guys really connected with each other through the whole process and were able to have that connection on stage.
We did. I mean, it was one of the most special casts that I've ever worked with. And it was interesting because there's such a wide age range in between me and most of the other cast members. And so they're more like kids, like my kids, than they were like my coworkers. But the energy was there, and the connection was there, and the commitment was there. And every night I'd look into Sam Jackson's eyes, and she had this like these eyes, and I was like, man, it was really a special experience. I love that show, love that cast, love the story, and and love working with you. It was great, fantastic.
Yeah. And Ike Holter, the playwright, just did a fantastic job with that script. It's such a powerful play.
Yeah,
it's a powerful story.
I had a chance to exchange a few messages with him, so I had a chance to connect with him. I would love for him to have seen it, but getting a chance to connect was special.
So how are you, we talked about that feeling of being super engaged and in the moment and just what a rush that is. How are you getting that feeling in the last 6 months?
That's a good question. Well, I've been doing a ton of auditions, voice auditions, thank goodness, and because it's not as many stage opportunities. So I've been doing that, and I've been fortunate to have gotten some work with the San Francisco Mime Troupe, and they're doing a series of audio plays. So I've had a chance to work with them. Shout out to Michael Gene Sullivan, Satellites, my man. And I write. And so I've been doing some writing of my own and putting together like some personal observations, some kind of poetry type stuff, and commentary about what's happening in the world. And so those are the things that I'm trying to do. And I got some ideas for some other stuff that I'd like to explore. And so this is getting me in touch with my more creative side, as opposed to just performing someone else's work, is trying to generate some of my own. So that's what I'm working on.
And tell us about the Mime Troupe show.
Tales of the Resistance is the theme of the shows, and there's Fear of the Dark was the first one that I did, and it was about this cop who is grappling with the idea: he thinks that he's a good cop, but is he actually not a good cop based on the circumstances that happen around that? And so that was one of the episodes that I did, and I play the the narrator of the series, this kind of a spooky character called the Gravekeeper, and it's a fun gig, but it's also it's hard hitting. He's using humor and satire, but he's also cutting to the chase. So
that sounds great.
And you have a recent episode of that was just released a little over a week ago, right?
Yeah, just released. Yes. The new one is called The Rotten Orchard, is the latest version that I worked on. And that's available now. That's on their website, I believe. You can find it on the Mime Troupe website.
I also have it on good authority that you were just cast to do another Lynn Nottage, Las Meninas, as an audio play for a theater in Portland.
Yeah, you heard that, huh? Yeah, that's really interesting.
I did hear that.
Yeah. So yes. my because I kind of have a little superstition, I never announce anything that I'm doing until the first day of rehearsal. Because I
just blew it.
I had an experience once where somebody was fired right before, and that left a stain on me. It's like, I'm not ever announcing anything until it's time. But yes, I will be doing Las Meninas at the Profile Theater in Portland, audio play, directed by
me. I'm directing it, and I let the cat out of the bag.
Dawn Monique Williams, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
3 names. Dawn Monique Williams.
And it's super cool because also joining that cast is Bay Area favorite Stacey Ross. And then we're also going to be joined by some Portland local actors there. Some of them are my friends that I worked with before up in Portland. And also a New York actor is joining us too. So this audio world, this Zoom world has made it possible for people to rehearse across time zones, all from their own homes.
That's the upside of this craziness, is that opportunities are opening up in different areas, and that works for me. I'm all over that. Love it.
Michael.
Oh.
Oh, Josh, go
No,
ahead.
no, you go. You go.
Well, I was going to say you are one of Aurora Connects' top commenters. And we have reason to believe that you have watched most episodes. And we just wonder what engages you about the show. Why do you tune in most weeks?
For a few reasons. One, you guys do an excellent job with the show. I love the way that you engage the guests and interesting questions. I learned something fascinating about everybody that you've had on the show. Another reason, you guys bring people on the show that I know, respect, and love. You guys had Margot and Britt, Margot Hall, Britt Frazier. You guys had Aldo Billingsley on here. You guys had Michael Torres, James Carpenter. Just fantastic artists, and I love Stacey Ross. I remember Stacey was on, and you guys have a fantastic group of individuals that you have on the show, and I just love tuning in because I learn something every time, and you guys do a great job with the show. What I found really interesting is the day that you had all your friends on, Dawn, from Cal State Hayward, Craig and Marissa and all of them.
Yes.
And I was thinking, wow, that's interesting that you guys had this great connection at Cal State Hayward, because I went to Cal State Hayward a generation before they got there. And ironically, my first work study job on campus at Cal State Hayward was building backdrops for the theater department. When I had no interest in theater whatsoever, that was my first job at Cal State Hayward, building backdrops.
It really brings everybody together. It's the circle is complete.
That's amazing.
That's very cool. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Michael. I want to, I know we were going to talk some about, we do advocacy every week. We pick an organization to give a shout out to that's doing important work in our community. And we, lately, we've been asking our guests if they have an organization that they'd particularly like to give a shout out to. And you very enthusiastically recommended an organization called Reach. Can you tell us a little bit about this organization and why you first tell us what made you choose this organization?
Well, one, they're doing fantastic work. I was familiar with the organization before, but the main reason why I wanted to shout this out is because my daughter is the program manager of Bay Area Community Resources and Justice Reentry there. So I'm so proud of her and happy for her that I wanted to shout her out and the organization as well.
And tell us about what do they do? I mean, I'm going to read out their statement in a minute, but tell us about what kind of work your daughter does there and what they do, how they serve the community.
They have several programs in education, health, wellness, arts, and what she does is she works with underprivileged youth and some that are recently released from incarceration and finds them jobs, finds them internships, helps them get into school and to trying to put their lives together. And so that's what she does. And she's good at it. She's committed to it. She loves it. And I love that that's what she is choosing to do with her young life.
How did you, like, I'm asking parent to parent now, how did you raise a child who has such a sense of duty to making the world a better place? Like, how did you manage to instill those values in her?
You know, I'd like to take credit and say that, yeah, that's because that's kind of the guy I am, and I just made that happen. You know, it's a roll of the dice. You know, you do the best that my father used to say this all the time. He said that the older I got, the smarter my father is. That's what he used to say. And because he said my grandfather was always telling him, giving him advice, and he was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, I got it. Okay, yeah, I hear you, old man. But it starts to make sense over time. And he said one of my grandfather's favorite quotes was like, I did the best I knew how. And that's what I did. I did the best that I knew how. And I tried to instill a sense of fairness. I tried to instill a sense of kindness and a sense of work ethic and a sense of decency. And I like to think that some of that, she absorbed some of that and applies that in her life. And I believe she does. And I'm proud of who she has become and what she's doing and why she's doing it. So that's what I think. So we'll see.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
And I had a lot of help. I've noticed that. I've noticed that I did this all on my own, but I had help. I had friends and family that chipped in and contributed. So I was fortunate. I was a single dad, but I had help.
Yeah. It takes a village, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, I'm gonna read this off so people know for sure about this organization. Reach serves youth ages 11 through 24 who live throughout Alameda County, with a focus on the Ashland and unincorporated area, which I did not know about this area of Ashland in San Leandro. But it's a community that is known for poverty, crime, and chronic health conditions. We help our members overcome the immediate and prevalent obstacles in their lives by cultivating their own strengths and promise. In the process, they develop resiliency and the skills they need to take positive action and thrive, even amidst ongoing personal trauma and social disadvantage. As a program of the Center for Health, Schools, and Communities, a division of the Alameda County Healthcare Services Agency, we collaborate with a variety of the county and public agencies, as well as the local school district and community providers. Together, we weave health and wellness, social justice, and youth leadership into all of REACH's programs and services. Mission is to honor youth power and build our community's resilience. And you can find out more at Reach Ashland, reachashland.org. So thank you so much for that recommendation. It sounds like an amazing organization, and I'm sure your daughter is doing a great job there.
Yeah, so far so good. She's doing her thing until she decides to do whatever she's going to do next. That's where she is, and she seems to be perfectly placed right now. So thank you.
What does she think about you becoming an actor?
She's very supportive. And she's actually matured in her, she's actually not matured, she's softened in her old age, because when I first started, I would work with her when I was trying to dissect a script, and if I'm doing lines, she would read with me. She was harsh. I mean, harsh. And there's a show that I did that I won't mention that she did not like. And to this day, it was many years ago, to this day, whenever I get a role, she's like, well, I hope it's not like that other part, blah, blah, blah. So she's harsh, but she's very supportive. And
oh, Michael. Oh.
One second.
Oh, Michael.
Quite
all the
proud of
love.
her.
The gift is you do your best as a parent, and you're proud of your kids, right? You work for them. And she came to see something that I was in. Wow, didn't see this coming. And she said that she was proud of me.
Mm.
And there's no check. There's no award. There's nothing that I can do in this field and world of acting that's more important to me than that.
Oh, so beautiful.
So
beautiful.
That's amazing, Michael.
Didn't see that coming, but yeah, that's
I'm glad to. Thank you for sharing that. That was really, really beautiful.
Well, it sounds like both you and your daughter have a lot to be proud of.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
And Josh and I endeavor to have our children be proud of us one day.
One day.
Well, it didn't happen when she was 13 or 14 or 15. that took a minute. So.
Oh, so lovely to have you with us this afternoon, Michael.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you all so much for inviting me on. This is fantastic.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to see you and to talk to you. And really,
good to see you.
Yeah,
good to see you. This is as close as we can get right now. So I'll take it.
Yep. Well, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: we're all having these big feelings, and it's been such a rough, several months for so many different reasons, and everything's just coming to a head. And I feel like in my family, with me, with my wife, with my kids, like you never know what's gonna set it off. And sometimes it's happiness, and sometimes it's frustration, but
right.
We're all going through something really, really difficult, and we're all carrying that with us all the time.
And
I think it's good to give it a chance to let it out. It's important. Yeah.
Agreed.
And I just want to add that Heather Andersma, I'm probably butchering that, has been with us this whole show, sharing in the chat. And she thanks you so profoundly, Michael, for sharing your journey. And she's sending love and
lots of hearts.
So much. Yes.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you, Heather. Man.
All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you again, Michael. It's always such a pleasure to see you.
Pleasure to see you. Pleasure to be here. This is fantastic. Keep up the good work. I'll be tuning in. If I'm not working, I'm here. The only shows I've missed is if I had a gig. Otherwise, I'll be here.
Excellent.
Great. That's great. Well, I'll remind our viewers at home that we love it when you comment on Facebook and YouTube. And certainly if you're not able to watch us in real time and you're watching this after the recording is passed and you want to get in touch with us, email us at connects@auroratheater.org. We'd love to hear from you. Like I said, we're ramping up for season 3 and looking at what new and exciting ways we can engage with you through this medium. And I always forget, we are also available in audio podcast format wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple. If you want to take us on the go and listen as you jog or power walk.
And just a reminder, we have our membership program is in full swing. So please visit auroratheater.org and check out our memberships. It gets you access to our audio drama that we've been working so hard to put together, an original story that I just can't wait to share with all of you, as well as all sorts of other programming. So please check that out. And while you're there, you can make a donation, which will help us get through this very, very difficult time. Dawn, who do we have next week on Connects?
Next week, we are joined by Rulon Tangin, who is the founding artistic director and choreographer of Dancing Earth, an indigenous contemporary dance company.
All right, so please join us next week for that. Thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Michael. And thank you at home for staying connected.